Adam Wittert, Executive Creative Director of Dojo115. Welcome to the Red Zone.
Thank you.
Now, Adam, please give us a brief overview on the main services that Dojo115 offers and why the name.
Well, the name, I'll speak to you about the name first because it'll give an indication of what we do. Initially, the idea is, to do something that ad agencies in this country aren't doing. So we wanted to have a kind of weird kind of name that kind of said something but didn't say something. So Dojo is kind of a little bit offbeat because it refers to like a Japanese karate kung fu studio, which a lot of people don't know. But behind that is also the story of the fact that there's this constant need to improve and learn and do better. And then the 115 is our street address because we didn't, that's where the creativity ended there. So we just added on the 2 and Dojo115 was born. So that's what we're about. And in terms of what we're doing, we're all senior partners who run the business. So we've done everything. So from little in-store pieces of things to big campaigns and TV ads, and we're especially moving a lot into digital. Obviously, I mean you're pretty much dead if you're not. So we've got a big digital focus, but we do the traditional stuff when clients ask for it as well. And we have to gauge what budgets are before we allocate what resource we're going to put behind it. Because sometimes they don't need to be on the net. Sometimes they do. So we help guide them, but we're pretty much a through-the-line little agency, but through the line.
Now, you're also a young agency in this industry. What are you doing to ensure your survival against the big? Well,
we're running hard. We're running lean. So technically, we're like an Ethiopian marathon runner, right? But we get there very quickly. So we've been going for less than a year. We've won quite a few awards already. And in 8 months, I think we became the #8 mobile interactive digital agency of the year or something. Which is quite an honor considering that we've been going for the space of time it takes to make a coffee. So we're quite proud of that. And that's what we're going to keep doing is pushing, doing kind of weird, odd stuff. So going from things like doing big corporate clients, in the form of Nashua, to the form of doing crazy little rock and roll stunts and comic books for Funko Cartel, which won us quite a few of those awards. So we're doing a varied amount of things, but we make sure that our interest is constantly, there. Because if we lose interest in it, then no one's going to pay interest in it. It just doesn't work out that way.
Now tell me the thinking behind this out-of-the-box Nashua campaign and why you think it worked for such a previously formal brand.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, the thing is, if you look at it like honestly, office equipment by its nature, it's not exciting stuff. So you've either got to really do something like magically technical and whoa, how'd they do that? Or you've got to do something that's funny and kind of wacky, and it seems to be that kind of scenario. So where you've got like FedEx, who've decided definitively whenever they're going to do their big spots on, say, Super Bowl day in the States, and I think, what does it go for? About $2 million per 30 seconds or something like that, right? Or even less time. So they always will defer to be humorous, but yet for some reason we still take them seriously. So we look at their advertising and we say, well, their advertising is a bit frivolous, therefore the company's frivolous. But you don't do that. You say, oh, so that's kind of what they do. because they're not talking about FedEx, they're talking about something else. But then again, you can see a serious ad, but it's created very beautifully, and you know, if it's got the right kind of look to it and appeal to it, and it's very moving and touching, people will respond to that. It's very hard to pull off, and I think in this country, when we try for it, we usually kind of mess it up, and you get this very long, drawn-out, boring, kind of mushy fairy tale. And we think funny is the money, so we stick with that.
Well, it seems like you got it right with Nashua, so well done. What are your thoughts on the rise of our newest friend, digital?
Yeah, well, I think it's just exactly like any other medium. I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything radically new or controversial, but if a client says to me, I've got 100,000 Rand, I think a lot of agencies will tend to default to what is going to be most expedient and cost effective for me, the agency, to charge that out. Now, if I say it's going to be a web-based idea, because now I'm thinking, because I can get a lot of money out of that, because being on the web's not so expensive, so I can, you know, garner most of that 100,000 for myself. That's a bad idea. We honestly want to save clients money, so they'll come back to us. So we must say something completely out of character for that brand. We say, well, look, I mean, maybe you should really consider street poll postings, or only billboards, or only a radio campaign, because the people you're targeting are businessmen. They only listen to their radios in the car, around drive time, around certain shows, financial shows. That's who we want to speak to. So to do a big media thing, a big digital thing, doesn't really make sense for those type of people. But if you say radio, you've got something substantial, plus you get that overflow into the other crowds that you're not counting on, which is always good as well.
What are you currently working on at the moment?
Currently, we are working on bringing our own brand up to the fore. So we're going to generate some buzz around ourselves, is one of the things. We're also working on an app for one of our clients, but it's going to be a very big, like, multifunctional app. It's almost going to be like a micro website, but it's going to be pretty cool, and it's going to be limited. So we purposely make it limited so not everybody has exposure to it. So if I give you the password and the key with the USB, then you know you're someone special because I've let you into the
little club,
the circle of trust.
Yeah.
And so we're doing that. We're doing some pharmaceutical work or nutraceutical work, which is fun as well, because when you've got a client that is a little bit willing to take a little bit of a chance, you can do great work. And the thing is, it's funny, you know, people say, and I was on the net, this guy was talking on the net about some of our work, and he's saying, don't you realize, I think he was from Italy, don't you realize, but you know, spell better than that, that clients are not interested in awards. And I said, listen, buddy, or whatever his name was, we know they're not interested in awards. We're not trying to get awards. We're trying to do what's effective for them. The fact that you wrote a thing like this, okay, well, we must have done something good to get that kind of feedback, or something at least interesting. And it's becoming like a situation of no publicity.
Or any publicity is good publicity.
Or like any publicity is going to be good, but no publicity is bad. Yeah. You know, it's real bad. So that's kind of what I was saying to the dude. And I don't know if he realized it. He never wrote back on that. But I think that if you're not waving your arm somehow and attracting a bit of attention, and when you get the attention saying something clever about yourself, then you've lost a big opportunity there, you know. So we're working on doing that very same thing for ourselves and putting that theory to practice, you know. And what I'm saying about a lot of South African clients is when they tend to defer to being conservative, what they're doing is probably taking more of a gamble okay, than they would do if they were doing something kind of eclectic and a little bit off the wall for them, even if it's a little bit off the wall.
Adam, last thought, trends for 2013.
Well, I'm going with these pants.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And
Pinstripe always
big, but I've gone thicker. Where the trend is to go thinner, I'm going the other way. It's going to be an interesting year. It's going to be quite interesting to see how we continue to shoehorn in media into places where it doesn't necessarily belong. Like, I don't think that Facebook was made for advertising, or even Twitter, but everybody wants to be on that because that's now the accepted norm, right? I'm digital, you know, we're online. But why? And are you just trying to get likes? In which case we can forge it for you and we can create 220 million likes for you, which is done every day. So there may be 5 guys that have actually visited that Facebook site, but 220 million of them give a thumbs up. So is it about that, or is it about conveying a message in a very specific, targeted, laser beam-like fashion, and saying, well, we sell printers. So yes, we could go on to Facebook, but to what end? What is the story we're going to tell when we get there? So we knew that, like in the case of Nashua, if we were going to advertise a printer office automation specialist, you better have something of some value, of interest to bring me back there, because looking at a machine, as wonderful as it is
very entertaining.
Not going to keep you enthralled for long. But, you know, we promise the fact that we'll give you extra free time. We'll just give you free time around the office because we've done everything for you. Everything you can think of that needs to be done in an office, we'll do for you. And then you can go play games. So you can play a live web game, what do they call it, an adver game. You see, an adver game on the Nashua website, which is fun, and people, I mean, drew thousands of people. And we gave silly little prizes from USB chickens to a big TV, you know. But people were playing it like at some stages 24 hours a day. I mean, guys went nuts for it. So you just got to be targeted in who you're talking to. And then the media will follow, you know. So ignore the media first is my recommendation, and look at the research with a skeptical eye, and then say, okay, where are these guys? What do they listen to? What do they read? What are they interested in? Now you know. They're interested in games because they're bored out of their minds, let's say. That's what we find or something. Or we go and we interview someone and speak to them. So what are you really into? Says, well, at work I kind of did this, and then I can't wait to get out of there. 4:30, I'm gone, man. So he's probably not going to be receptive to hearing more work stuff. Like, I imagine an accountant doesn't want to hear about accountancy when he drives home, but he wants to hear silly jokes. So maybe we create a short-term radio station. There should be a long-term radio station that just does 24-hour comedy, which I have the patent on. But until there is, he's probably going to want to defer to that after a day of looking at numbers, yeah.
I'd listen to that radio station. Adam Wittert from Dojo115, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks. It was great.